Good morning, Marc Frederic, Le Charcuterie Anglais. I wish to touch on beef shorthorn and dairy shorthorn cattle. So I've had in the past some lovely, in fact stunning beef from shorthorn. Mainly when I visited a pal of mine in Yorkshire near Malham. And it wasn't from his cattle, it was from one of his neighbours. But anyway, I've had shorthorn several times, throughout my lifetime. And like I said, it's stunning, stunning beef, as beef is from several other native breeds. And but the best beef out of shorthorns, in my opinion, is not the beef shorthorn, it's actually the dairy shorthorn. So from cows that have given who have had a bit of a life and that have had several calves, and before they were called, before they got too old, and yet that beef was just like, oh, flipping it, you could put your finger in it and just like, just kind of, spring, it was absolutely stunning. So of course, like, to get better yields, the shorthorn developed the beef shorthorn version, as it were. But it's always been a dual purpose cow, and it's ideal for smallholders, people entering into farming for the first time perhaps, or somebody just wants the odd cow or two, very small herds, or the artisan producers of cheese. Now, link into this. I say link in, pay attention to this, if you don't mind, that is. And cheese from dairy shorthorn, again, is just like, really, again, stunning. There's many factors that go into cheese making, so but if you're starting off with the right ingredients, you're always going to end up with something either really good or magnificent. So dairy shorthorn offers that in milk, because they're heavier on the cream. They don't give the yields like like a Friesian. But just remember, Friesian is not a British. It's not a British cow. It comes from north of Holland, northwest Germany, around that area. Mainly North Holland. So and all the energy in Friesians go into the udder, the production of milk. So they ended up with the almost skeletal-like bodies. And big udders, and they've bred them so as they become long-legged, and one thing to the anyway. But we need milk, and cows that produce great yields. So and they've been around in UK for a long time now. But anyway, let's get back down to an artisan level, shall we say, at dairy shorthorn. Absolutely superb, dual purpose. And when you come eventually, once you're finished, with her many dairy cycles, and you turn her into beef, I tell you what, you'll not be disappointed. You won't be disappointed with the beef shorthorns either, But my focus, my heart, my gut feeling is, I'm going to stick with what I've tried and tested, And this is just my opinion. You're all entitled to your own opinions, of course. And now, apparently, the breed was put together through crossbreeding the Teeswater and the Durham cow. Now, in their own right, I have to confess, I don't know anything about either of those breeds. But I don't really recall ever coming across any. I don't recall really seeing any pictures or videos. Perhaps I ought to go to Google. I should have gone there first, shouldn't I? But I've never come across these. Anyway, they formed, allegedly, they formed the Shorthorn, so which would have been the dairy Shorthorn, as it's now called, but it would have been a dual purpose cow, house cow, great house cow. Again, medium-sized cow, shall we say. So so you're going to get a good return on it, no matter what. But in today's market, if you're looking to invest in some kind of small farming project, you want to consider the dairy Shorthorn and look at producing artisan cheese for all of the dairy products from the Shorthorn. They do give reasonable years, but a high butter count, to high fat count, to offer good butter and things like that. And you ought to market it like that, even if you get a few of you as a little cooperative together to do it, and maybe start a little, cheese enterprise. I can just see yourselves, calling yourselves, a Durham cheese maker. That sounds cool, doesn't it? The Durham cheese maker. Of course, anyway, Yorkshire, okay, over the years, because of course Teesside, Durham, all those sort of areas, they're up and border around Yorkshire, and a huge chunk of Yorkshire also in the past have farmed Shorthorns. And so in some ways, it's over the years, it's as more Yorkshire farms have took on the Shorthorn, albeit they're all around the world now, but it's almost become the Yorkshire breed, so, and we know there's lots of entrepreneurial people in Yorkshire. Great race, aren't they? I'm from Lancashire. That's why I say that. And but there's some real entrepreneurial people in Yorkshire, and when they do something, they usually do it bloody right. So I can just see people in Yorkshire and other areas, taking on the dairy Shorthorn and doing something really special with it. Like I say, perhaps just forming just some small cooperatives and putting little artisan, maybe cheese making business, or some form of Shorthorn dairy business. I can even see old-fashioned milk in bottles, printed bottles, getting back into use, even maybe in a modern version, or it could be flip top, like those Kilner jars, but the flip top on the bottles, and vending machines and things like this. So you bring it into the modern world. I can see all that happening, and it needs to happen, and the breed needs to be spelled out, because we've got some fantastic British breeds, and they're all great for all different reasons. But the Shorthorn, especially the dairy Shorthorn, really for me is a cracking cattle to have, and they're relatively good to handle, the easy calving, they're good on harsh ground, they just cross the board. So so if you get the chance, get in and have a look at this breed, and especially the dairy Shorthorn, and just see if it's a breed of cattle for you, and it's native breed as well, and how to put it on the map. Look at artisan products. People don't mind paying that a little bit extra for artisan products. So right from the off, if you make cheese from dairy Shorthorn, it ain't going to be cheap like standard cheese you find in the supermarkets. The price is going to be way up, but there is a marketplace for it, and there's people willing to buy it, and the other products that you may make. So have a good old think about it. So what else can I tell you? Like I said, good yields, and even the dairy Shorthorn offers a good yield in beef. Not quite as much as a beef Shorthorn. The yield and that is greater. But just remember something: it's not all about the yields, and this is why native breeds are the best. Only this morning, Yorkshire farmer, butcher, slaughterman was on Facebook with his Hereford tenderloins, and oh my God, you should have seen them. You know, absolutely stunning. And if that's not the best of British, then I don't know what is. This happened to be Hereford, but Shorthorn is in the same category as with most of our other native breeds. So when these videos come out and these you know, butchers, farmers, and slaughtermen on social media start showing things like that, I tell you what, you're making Britain look great around the world. You are, because you're just making Britain, or showing around the world who's the best at it. And we've got the best ingredients, the best, I'm saying by ingredients, you know, the best cattle, the best native breeds, you know, not just cattle, but in sheep and everything. So, you know, so yeah, we we need to blow our own trumpet like we did years ago, or let the product be the trumpet. This is the thing. Let the trumpet be the product. Of course, with social media. It goes without saying, because without social media, you know, the trumpet's not very loud. So, so anyway, I've got to shut up. You can see inside me, I'm all kind of excited, and you know, being an old man and getting excited over native breed cattle, you know, you know, perhaps I need my bloody head looking at, you know. But anyway, have a good day. Excuse me. Have a good day, and if you're looking to, or if you're already a farmer and just looking for a bit of a niche, and you just want to look for something different, and you want to get off that, you know, treadmill, as it were, by following the crowds, and you know, having all the bloody crossbreeds and God knows what else. That you know, think what you're gonna pass on, you know. So we've had all this trouble in UK with the government and inheritance tax and things like that. What are you going to leave behind you when you're gone? Have a think about that. Excuse me. So apart from a big bill, inheritance tax bill or whatever, but you know, I think they've stopped that now, haven't they? Have they done a U-turn on that? I hope so. But anyway, have a think about what you're going to leave behind, you know, for the next generation. Go native breeds, please. Leave your children, okay, and your grandchildren something to be proud of. I'm sure they're going to be proud anyway, but really give them something to be proud of. Get into native breeds. Go on.